All right, so hi guys, we're back from track out. This is January, and we are getting ready to go into the time period after the Civil War. You've already done your track out assignments. You've already read chapters 23 and 24, but this is going to go into a little bit more in depth, hopefully tease out some of the issues that may have been a little kind of convoluted in the reading. And enlighten them a little bit more. Now, I did this video last year. You may have already checked it out and may have assigned it. I don't know. This winter track out has been crazy. But I was taking a look back at it. I didn't like it. Have you ever seen yourself on camera and just really hated it? So even though I'm not really, I'm in my comfy clothes here. I'm in my house. Don't mind the mess in the background. I think I got a better crack at this year and can kind of help explain a little bit more clearly. So let's get into this. This video is probably going to be split up into two different parts just because I'm working with a free app and it only allows 10 minutes on the free version. So it's probably going to be two different videos broken up. But let's go ahead and jump into the exciting world of 1870s monetary policy. Yeah, that probably is going to bore you to death. Hopefully I can stop that and bring it to some type of excitement. But the one thing that I want to key in on this is because it's really the only, this and the tariff issue. So two issues. Are really what's going to define politics between the 1870s and 1890s. There's not really that much difference between the Democrats and the Republicans during this time period. That's why voter kind of infatuation with the parties dips after the Civil War. Is because they don't really see that much of a difference. But monetary policy and tariff policy are going to be the two major differences between the Republicans and the Democrats between the 1870s and 1890s. After that, it gets into expansionism and other things. But let's jump into it again. That's for another time. So with this monetary policy, we've got to differentiate between monetary policy and fiscal policy. Because we're talking about economics and we're talking about the government and what the government can do to kind of drive economics in the country. So the two different things that the government really deals with is fiscal policy and monetary policy. Fiscal policy is basically taxing and spending. So taxing the population at different amounts maybe encourages more businesses to reinvest their money, or you all know the kind of the tax bill that just got passed, all that stuff. And then what do you do with that money once the government has it? How do you encourage economic growth, or is that even something that the government should be doing? That's all encompassed in the fiscal policy. Now, one of the things that the government does is they coin money. They are the ones that basically, back up the economic system in that way by issuing currency and determining what is currency. So this monetary policy has been something on the plate since the 1790s. A lot of that has to do with the first and second Bank of the United States. Remember, Jackson kills the second Bank of the United States. So after that, it's going to be mainly Congress and some branch banks around the country that are dealing with monetary policy. Today it is the Federal Reserve. So let's get into these monetary policies then and who supports which one. We have two main monetary policies we can follow. Now, there are some differentiations over here on the left side as far as loose monetary policy and what's actually been going on there. Let's kind of set the stage for a second. During the Civil War, we needed a lot of money. Bullets cost stuff. You got all these warships that we're trying to make during the war, both sides, North and South. Mainly we're focusing on the Union, though, the continuity of that government. But the interesting thing here is we're going to need a lot more stuff than we have gold for. We've been mainly on a gold standard up until the Civil War. But what Lincoln sees and what Congress sees is that, oh my goodness, this war is going to take a long time. It's going to cost more than the cash we have on hand. So they're going to start to print fiat currency, greenbacks, that are standing in. Up until this point, we had only printed paper currency backing the gold that we had. So, and that's really what the paper money was all about, is to be more portable than gold coins or gold bars. Now that's completely changed. We have all these greenbacks floating out there, and it's doing some things with our economy that some people are concerned about. Bankers and established businessmen don't like having all those greenbacks out there floating. They want a gold standard, because if you can restrict this standard down to just gold, you know it's stable. You know what prices are going to be, because that dollar, the amount of value in that dollar is not going to change. So you can buy essentially more stuff with the gold standard dollar than you can with the bimetallic standard dollar. Um, Prices are going to either decrease or stay stable, mainly stay stable. And then loans, any loans that are given out, and this is really hitting those bankers, any loans that are going to give out are going to retain their market value. If I loan you money to buy a wagon in 1860, you pay it off in 1875, that money plus interest should allow me to buy another wagon if I'm going to really be a good bank. And if I'm going to be solvent in the future. Over here on the loose monetary policy, though, there are people arguing that saying, hey, we need some help here. These banks are holding this stuff. They're stifling our growth. We are an economic force, but we can't get away from this gold standard issue. The money, there's only a few bills floating out there. If there were more bills, we could break these chains and you could just kind of see what we could do. Most of those people are going to be entrepreneurs and farmers, people that are going to have loans and that are going to want to be able to pay those loans off quicker. That way they don't have to pay as much interest. Key to this is going to go to a bimetallic standard, gold plus silver, or maintaining fiat currency through greenback. But this is big change, and it could drive inflation. So let's take an example, and hopefully we can get through this example before I run out of time on this first episode. So the bread example, to take a look at how these metallic standards, different metallic standards, are going to change the price of goods. Let's simplify it. Let's take one good, bread, and take two people. And because life is what it is, and there's always going to be rich people and always going to be poor people, we're going to give Moneybags Mike $4. We're going to give Hungry Hank $1. And we're going to try to determine the price of bread. Now, bread or any good, the price of bread or the price of the good is going to be set at such a level that the supplies have met the demand level, right? And all the supplies are sold. So here, what's the price of bread? Price of bread is going to be 2, because the price of bread has to get above the $1 mark, because if it is, you still have 2 buyers for the same piece of bread. Now there's only one person that can afford it. So the price of bread in this example is 2. There's going to be people that are saying, hey, well, we need some help over here. We need to increase the price or increase the money supply. You put silver in there. Give us the greenbacks. All right, well, let's do that. Let's increase the amount of money in the money supply. Now, these should be kind of colored silver or green or whatever, but it stands the same thing. We're increasing money in the money supply. But just because we increase the money in the money supply doesn't get rid of scarcity, and it doesn't get rid of disparity in income. So Moneybags Mike is still Moneybags Mike. He's tripled his worth, and Hungry Hank has tripled his worth as well. But what has it done to the price of bread? Now, Moneybags Mike is still going to get the bread. I mean, he's still got all that money. But what's happened to the price of bread? Since we have increased the money supply, it is inflated and has gone to $4. It's doubled in price. That is going to be the issue we're working with, and it's kind of the entire point. And even though Hungry Hank still isn't going to get the bread, there are going to be other benefits for him that we're going to take a look at in the second part of this video. So stay tuned for that one.